Next presentation will be in English. It's all about the cost of the price of privacy. The cost. There's a business cost that we know, but there are several other costs as well on a personal and individual level. And to discuss this, we have Raymond André Hagen from Digitaliseringsdirektoratet, who also is a PhD candidate at NTNU, and Monica Verma from Orange Business Services. So, stage is yours.
In the next 10 years... Start again. Okay. Can you hear me back now? Yeah? Okay. In the next 10 years, we're going to reinvent every industry on this planet Earth. In the next 10 years, we're going to see innovation accelerate at a speed faster than ever before, at a scale larger than ever before, that we have not seen in the last 100 years. We're already seeing glimpses of that. We're already seeing how technology is changing the way we connect, we play, we work, and even the way we do businesses, whether it's using augmented reality in retail or real estate, or, of course, talking about machine learning, deep learning, and the whole buzz of artificial intelligence. Some examples are becoming very, very real. Take, for instance, this example from MIT. This is an AI technology that basically uses or leverages computer vision and deep neural networks to detect melanoma with an accuracy comparable to that of an expert dermatologist. Or the latest viral thing that's gone viral on the internet, the ChatGPT. I'm guessing everybody here has heard about it, right? Good. It is going to change the way we do things, but we're already seeing that we can abuse this to create phishing mails. I created this one coming from DNB. And while it starts getting smarter and tells you that, yeah, sometimes it's not able to do it because it's unethical, you just need to roll what is the right question or wrong question to ask, and it will create it for you. Talk about creating malware on the fly to detect and collect data faster than ever before. By 2025, Internet of Everything will exceed 100 billion connected devices. Not the Internet of Things, Internet of Everything. Which means each of these devices will have dozens and more of sensors collecting even more data than ever before. We are going to see a data revolution like we have never seen before, beyond our imagination. When it comes to privacy, data is so important. When it comes to innovation, data is also so important. The two sides of the same coin. Are we ready for it? Are we ready for the fact that more and more data than ever before about each and every one of us at a speed faster than ever before is being generated, collected, processed, and transformed from even more devices than ever before, and we cannot seem to keep up? Is protecting privacy today a losing game? Let's find out. I've worked with privacy for more than 10 years, started sometime in 2010 when I was still in Germany. And as we Germans, we take privacy very seriously. I guess you can imagine that, right? But one of the things that I've struggled and I've seen in this industry more than a decade, that was a problem that time, and is still a problem today, is the number one mindset that a lot of people still have till date, and it is, I have nothing to hide. I don't need privacy because I have nothing to hide. Not only is their argument heavily flawed, it can cost you heavily. And there are very reasons why this is a flawed argument. But I'll give you my number one reason for that. Privacy is not about hiding. Secrecy is about hiding. And privacy is not the same as secrecy. Privacy is first and foremost a human right, at least in the countries we live in. Not everywhere in the world, unfortunately. But it is a right to feel or be unobserved, unintruded, feel unsurveilled to the extent we want, and share to the extent we want, when we want, how we want. My clicker is giving me a lot of problems. So what is the price or the cost that we're willing to pay, both for privacy or lack thereof? Target, one of the biggest supermarkets in the United States, decided to create something known as the pregnancy prediction score. Yep, you heard that right. Target is creating pregnancy prediction score. They basically looked at and analyzed all the historical buying data from all the female consumers that had registered for Target baby registries. Based on that, they were able to predict and assign each shopper a pregnancy prediction score, and sometimes even predict the due date of people that were not even on the registry, just based on the historical data. So imagine you didn't even sign up for that, but still Target knows when you're going to be pregnant. And it could predict that with 80% accuracy. That is damn scary. And Target actually found out that a teen girl was pregnant even before her own father did. You can find the whole story out there. The guy who actually created this score says in one of the interviews, just wait, we'll be sending you coupons for things you want before even you know that you want them. They did that. They actually sent out baby coupons ahead of time for whom they believed were pregnant. And that's not it. Amazon decided to create this amazing recruitment tool based on AI. It's supposed to be this holy grail of tool where you would send in thousands of resumes, it would do its magic in a matter of minutes, and then pop out top 3 candidates, boom, done. Talent industry solved. The problem? It hated women. It did. It was based, the entire data set was based on last 10 years of resume, which were predominantly male, reflecting the male dominance in the technology industry. They had to shut down this experiment. We don't have to even go that far. Forbrukerrådet here in Norway, they observed and they found out that Runkeeper, the training app, was tracking and secretly sending everybody's data round the clock to an advertiser agency in US, even when the app was not being used. I can think of 100 examples today that's still doing that. 100 of apps that still do that today. This was in 2016 when they filed a complaint to Datatilsynet. Oh, come on. So ENISA did a study, and they found out that if you basically provide 2 or multiple offers from multiple service providers, and if people can be told easily how much data is being collected, if they can observe easily how much data has been collected, 83% of the people were willing to pay a premium for privacy if it was obvious for them how much data is being collected if there are multiple offers. They were ready to pay, 83% were ready to pay a premium for privacy. This is the cost they were willing to pay when it was made obvious. And we know the cost that businesses are paying. This is not news. We hear about these fines, especially since GDPR, almost every, couple of weeks, I guess. The highest fine so far is 746 billion euros in Luxembourg against Amazon.
Yeah, and before I started my PhD, I was the Chief Security Officer of Altinn for 14 years. And we have had, it has been in the media, and we have had some issues regarding different types of errors. which are some are known and some are less known. And maybe for those of you who remember back to the tax day, it was the 22nd of March 2012, we had a very large error where one person's landing page was exposed for 17 minutes to the entire population who tried to log into Alten. And it was many, many tens of thousands who got to see this privacy. And why did this happen? I'm not going to shame any company, but like, it was one of the absolute best companies who delivered an appliance who had an unknown bug, which first appeared at that moment. I will always remember that moment. It was 1736 approximately. It happened, and it lasted until 1834 and some seconds. I forgot that one. But the thing was that, like, even if we have control of what we are making, we can still introduce severe privacy breaches on other ones because of things out of our control. So we have to take that into consideration when we are building in security and privacy.
So let me ask you again. After all these examples, do you think we are ready for the future?
No.
Where even more data will be collecting going forward, augmented by artificial intelligence and whatnot. So how do we go forward? We'll share with you 5 tips. This one is number 1. It sounds very basic, but so important. Not only just that you're aware of your personal content that you're putting online or providing online willingly, but also unwillingly. And that's where the caveat is. I'm literally in the wrong position, or what's happening? Like, it works when Raymond does it. What?
You have to be closer, I think.
You know all this symbol, right? All of you? No, you don't? So more and more news is coming out about TikTok, right? How much data is actually being gathered. And there have been obviously now news that they are secretly been sending vast and enormous amount of data back to servers in China of people that are in Europe, that are in US. This is an example of a TikTok app that was installed on a mobile phone, never used. And in just a few days, it sent more than around 2.5 gigs of data in the background. God knows where, I'm assuming servers in China. This app was never used on this mobile phone, freshly installed. Oh, come on. Need to get better at my clicking skills. Another example, Strava is one of these applications that has become the social network for athletes. I have around 15 friends that are using Strava in Norway, and I know people that are using it worldwide. This guy who was going on a run, a woman just passed by him during his run. Not only was that woman tagged in his run, he could access her name, her full picture, her entire running route, basically revealing where she lives. Talk about invasion of privacy. So we need to know what data we're providing online, both willingly and unwillingly. That's basic, but really, really important when it comes to privacy. Number 2, exercise your rights where you have them, know what they are. Under GDPR, you have a lot of rights that you can know what data is being processed and collected about you, what is being used for. You have right to objection in certain cases. Knowing that is important. Now you can even go to ChatGPT and ask what are your rights in GDPR. It will tell you. You can ask it to create an email for you of how you can send an email to a technology company where you're asking about your rights or about your data. I actually even created a DPA using ChatGPT. Obviously should get it checked by a lawyer, but nonetheless, it was impressive. But knowing where your rights, that's important, but also be aware what it doesn't. This is important. I'll give you a real example. One of my friends, she told me about this case where she grew up with a friend in Norway, but she moved to US. And due to some personal struggles, her friend passed away. It was a very difficult time for her family and also for my friend. After a couple of months, she received a message from a deceased friend on Messenger. She freaks out. Obviously, a ghost is not messaging her. What happened? So she did 1 + 1, 3. Yeah, somebody hijacked her account, basically took over, was pretending to be her. Then she asked me, we were just sitting for a coffee one day, and she was like, yeah, just very strange thing happened, but don't we have like now this GDPR stuff? Can't we do something there? GDPR doesn't cover deceased people. It only applies to natural persons. But there is a clause in GDPR that says member states, so EU member states and also Norway as a part of EA, may provide for rules regarding the processing of personal data of deceased persons. I know only of 2 countries so far that does that, France and Germany. But there is a provision, but it doesn't naturally. It only applies to living people. So knowing where it doesn't apply is also equally important as what your rights are. I have a short arm, that's it. That's really the problem. What can businesses do? We talked about the study from ENISA, right? If you make it obvious, people are willing to pay a premium, but they're also will go, if it's the same price, not extra, and they know how much data has been collected and it's obvious, they will go for the privacy-friendly version. So what companies can do is reduce the cost of privacy, make it default, but make it obvious. The second part is way more important than the first part. Making it obvious. I'll give you an example. So, please, all the privacy experts, don't get mad at me. I know this ad is not 100% true, but let's just take it for the case, okay? Privacy, that's iPhone. That's an ingenious marketing. And that is not the only one. Apple has done a lot of marketing on the privacy benefits it has. Whether it has it or not, it's a different question, but we are not debating it right now. We're just talking about making it obvious. Since they made it obvious with all this marketing, and with this feature that came out, that I can show you the moment my screen goes to the next page. Come on. What? Finally. And since it opened that feature, ask the app not to track, making it obvious, it not only made people actually, majority people clicked on not to track, duh. I want to know who are those people who said allow, but okay, anyway. But it also had a very big impact on the revenue of the competitors. Meta was so angry, they actually are tried to do a lawsuit against Apple because of these ads. They lost a lot of revenue just because of the ingenious marketing. So I'm not telling you to lie, but I'm telling you to make it obvious for the users. That makes a huge difference. Studies have shown it. This example shows it. They're doing it. Very, very important. Okay.
So security and privacy must be there from the start. That is of immense importance. See, it works.
It just doesn't like me, that's it.
And when we are designing things, and especially when we are using new methods like agile methods like DevOps and so on, it is immensely important that we start designing so that you have implemented, you have thought through what can be done, how can this be misused, and so on, from the very beginning. And this is an example. This is from a test environment in Altinn. We have quite a lot of them because we have a lot of users. All of you are users, if you like it or not. And we have 1,000 services divided on approximately 70 government agencies, or a little bit more than that, which are implementing services all the time. So why am I showing you this? Yeah, because we are trying to be diligent, and we are always trying to take privacy seriously, and when we are building our test systems, we use fictitious test data. But what we are providing is a platform where the only test data we provide is a username and password to access the data, or to access the platform, you can say. And the different agencies like tax or NAV or other government agencies that are making services, they get fictitious data so they can get access to the system. I'm not going to mention what service this was because it's one of our largest services and it is in use. And it was built over a couple of years. This is some years ago. And there were several agencies a part of this large development. We provided them with the fictitious test data so they can access and do end-to-end testing. And suddenly one day I got a call from the security manager in one of those agencies and asking, can we have a meet? And he wouldn't say what about. And okay, yeah. And then he came and he was a bit embarrassed because they needed to have real testing. So they took a part of the test data we had provided to them and gave it to third-party testers so they can test end-to-end of the systems. And these third-party testers was big institutions like banks, it was smaller institutions like kindergartens, and a lot of different other companies because you want to test them. The problem, especially with the big commercial and non-commercial companies, is that they have a lot of systems that are interconnected and dependent upon each other. So what are the only true source of getting end-to-end testing which are true and valid? You have to use production data in your test environments because that's the only data you know you can track. So what we discovered inadvertently was that our fictitious test systems with fictitious data were full of production data after a part of testing. So we were suddenly aware that we had inadvertently storing a lot of true data under false pretenses because we didn't understand how our users were using it. So then we have to do procedures where we deleted it before someone else reused the accounts and so on. Yeah.
So more than technical issues, there are also organizational issues we need to think about. At the end of the day, privacy is a human right.
And privacy is a business differentiator.
And companies and individuals must work together. This is the only way we can manage this data revolution in a good way, which will not invade privacy or ethics. Thank you very much.
Orange Business Services.